unveiling a global issue: racism against black people. Today we're discussing the top 15 countries where black people face significant challenges. Russia, land of contradictions. Beneath the surface of this vast nation lies a darker reality for many black people. We're talking about reported racial discrimination and xenophobia. Think physical attacks by extremist groups. And don't even get me started on the lack of legal protections for victims of racial discrimination. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are pockets of hope, people fighting for change. It's a slow and arduous process, but change is afoot. So next time you think of Russia, remember it's not just about vodka and bears. China, the Red Dragon, and the Black Experience. While China might not be the first place that comes to mind when you think of racism, it's not exactly a utopia for black people either. China has this thing about homogeneity. And guess what? Black people don't exactly fit that mold. African communities in China reported evictions, targeted policies. But hey, let's not paint the entire country with the same brush. There are Chinese people who are speaking out against racism. It's a battle, no doubt, but one worth fighting. India, a tapestry of cultures and contradictions, a land where ancient traditions meet modern aspirations. India has this whole caste system, a hierarchy based on birth, and it doesn't exactly favor those with darker skin tones. This system has been deeply ingrained in society for centuries. For black people, particularly African students, navigating this social landscape can be tricky. They often find themselves caught between cultural admiration and social prejudice. We're talking racial slurs, social exclusion, and a sense of not belonging. And then there's the whole Bollywood thing, which is a massive cultural force in India. The industry's obsession with fair skin? Yeah, not so much. It perpetuates a narrow standard of beauty. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are pockets of acceptance and celebration of diversity. India's changing, evolving, and there are people fighting for a more inclusive society. Activists and social reformers are making their voices heard. It's a long road ahead, but with every step, they're challenging the status quo and pushing for a brighter, more equitable future. Chapter 4. Italy, La Dolce Vita, but not for everyone. For black people, particularly African migrants, it's like trying to order a cappuccino in a language nobody understands. The struggle is real and often overlooked. We're talking racial violence, discrimination in job markets and housing. These issues are deeply rooted and affect everyday life. And don't even get me started on the far-right groups and their anti-immigration rhetoric. Their influence is growing, making life even harder for migrants. But hey, it's not all bad news. There are moments of joy and community where people come together despite the odds. There are Italians fighting for social justice, for a more inclusive society. They are the unsung heroes in this narrative. They're organizing protests, raising awareness. Their efforts are slowly but surely making a difference. So next time you're savoring that delicious plate of spaghetti, remember that Italy, like any country, has its challenges. It's a land of contrast where beauty and struggle coexist. Chapter 5. Saudi Arabia. Oil, opulence, and oppression. For black Africans, particularly those in low-wage jobs, life can be tough. We're talking discrimination in terms of labor rights, treatment, and then there's the kafala system, which ties migrant workers to their employers. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are voices within Saudi Arabia calling for reform. It's a slow and delicate dance, but change is possible. Chapter 6. Libya, a nation in flux, a struggle for humanity. For black migrants, particularly those from sub-Saharan Africa, Libya has become a dangerous crossroads. We're talking about a place where dreams of a better life often turn into nightmares of exploitation and abuse. Black migrants in Libya have faced violence, extortion, even slavery. But amidst the darkness, there are glimmers of hope. International organizations are working tirelessly to rescue and assist migrants. The United Arab Emirates, a land of towering skyscrapers, luxury shopping, and a complex relationship with race. Black workers, particularly those in low-wage jobs, have reported discrimination, unfair treatment. And then there's the issue of social hierarchy. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. The UAE has made strides in recent years, implementing anti-discrimination laws and promoting tolerance. It's a work in progress, but every step forward counts. Japan, the land of sushi, samurai, and a homogeneous society grappling with diversity. For black people, navigating this social landscape can be tricky. We're talking social exclusion, stereotyping, and then there's the whole gaijin thing, the word for foreigner. It's not always meant to be offensive, but it can create a sense of otherness. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Japan is changing, slowly but surely. There's a growing awareness of diversity. It's a journey, not a destination. But every step counts. Turkey, a bridge between continents, a melting pot of cultures, and a complex relationship with race. For Black people, particularly those of African descent, navigating this cultural landscape can be tricky. We're talking racism in everyday interactions, limited societal acceptance. And then there's the issue of discrimination. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Turkey has a vibrant civil society, with activists and organizations fighting for equality and justice. It's a long and winding road. With every step, they're paving the way for a more inclusive future. Chapter 10. Israel, the Promised Land, but for whom? For Ethiopian Jews who often face discrimination and prejudice, the reality can be quite different. We're talking about significant discrimination, unequal treatment. And then there's the issue of African migrants, many of whom flee conflict and poverty seeking refuge in Israel. They often face detention, deportation, a whole host of challenges. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are Israelis fighting for social justice, for equality and inclusion. It's an uphill battle, but they're raising their voices, challenging the status quo. Chapter 11, Ukraine, a nation at war, a struggle for humanity. For Black people, particularly African students and residents, navigating this landscape has become even more challenging in the midst of war. We're talking about reported incidents of racism, discrimination at borders, and then there's the issue of representation. Black people in Ukraine often feel invisible, their voices unheard. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are Ukrainians and international organizations working tirelessly to assist Black refugees. It's a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. Chapter 12. Lebanon, a mosaic of cultures, a shadow of exploitation. Lebanon has this system called kafala, which ties migrant workers to their employers. It's a system ripe for abuse, with workers often trapped in exploitative situations. And for Black African workers, the situation is often exacerbated by racism and discrimination. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are Lebanese activists and organizations fighting tirelessly to dismantle the kafala system. It's a David and Goliath battle, but they're not giving up. Chapter 13, Greece, Ancient History, Modern Struggles. For Black migrants and asylum seekers, the reality can be quite different. Many Black migrants are met with hostility, discrimination, and abuse. We're talking about xenophobia, police brutality, inhumane living conditions in overcrowded camps. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are Greeks and international organizations working tirelessly to provide aid and support to migrants. It's a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. Chapter 14. South Korea, K-pop, kimchi, and a complex reality. South Korea is a land of contrasts where ancient traditions meet cutting-edge technology. For Black people, this can manifest in various ways, from racial slurs and stereotypes to exclusion from social circles and job opportunities. The experience can be isolating and challenging. And then there's the whole beauty standards thing. South Korea's beauty industry is massive and influential. South Korea has a notoriously high bar for physical appearance, and those with darker skin tones often find themselves on the outside looking in. This can affect self-esteem and social acceptance. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are positive experiences and friendships being formed. South Korea is changing, slowly but surely. Efforts to embrace diversity are becoming more visible. There's a growing awareness of diversity. Educational programs and campaigns are making a difference. It's a work in progress. Every step forward counts. The journey towards inclusivity is ongoing, but progress is being made. Chapter 15. Morocco. Between tradition and modernity, a struggle for acceptance. For Black people, especially those from sub-Saharan Africa, the journey often ends in Morocco, facing discrimination, prejudice, and exploitation. We're talking about racism in everyday interactions, limited access to education and healthcare. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are Moroccans fighting for social justice, for equality and inclusion. They're raising their voices, challenging the status quo. It's a long and winding road. With every step, they're paving the way for a more just and equitable society. Outro, a call to action building a more inclusive world. This video isn't meant to discourage travel or paint an entirely negative picture of these countries. Instead, it's a call to acknowledge that racism exists globally, and to encourage everyone to be mindful, respectful, and proactive in combating prejudice. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.